Today, we're diving into a really fascinating blueprint. It's designed to help intentional communities actually succeed, especially where so many with the best intentions have failed. So that kind of begs the big question. It's a question a lot of us have probably thought about. You've seen it happen, or heck, maybe you've even lived it. A group of incredible people comes together with this amazing vision, only to, well, to fall apart a few years down the line. Why does that happen so often?
So here's the thing. What's really interesting is that these failures are rarely because of bad people or bad intentions. No, the source material is super clear on this. It's almost always because there's no explicit structure. When the rules are just unspoken assumptions, that's when you get these informal power dynamics and hidden workloads filling the vacuum.
Okay, so if the problem is a lack of good structure, then the vision here is to provide a much better one. This is where the idea of EcoHubs comes in, positioned as a direct response to some of the huge challenges we're all facing today.
The big vision here is to create this whole network of human-scale communities that aren't just sustainable, but are actually regenerative, actively healing their little corner of the world. They're designed to be resilient, to restore that sense of connection, and to give people back a sense of agency.
Now, to make a vision like that a reality, you need more than just good vibes. You need a tool. And that brings us to the heart of what we're talking about today, the Regenerative Community Operating System, or RCOS for short.
And this part is absolutely crucial. RCOS is not some utopian ideology. It doesn't tell people what to believe or what to value. Instead, it gives them a practical, adaptable framework. It's the set of rules for how the community actually functions.
This quote just nails the whole philosophy. RCOS is designed to take all that stuff that's usually left unsaid. Who really has power, how decisions actually get made, who does all the thankless work, and drag it out into the open so it's explicit, clear, and manageable for everybody.
And this analogy is just perfect for understanding the concept. Think about your computer's operating system. It provides that stable foundation so you can run any software you want on top of it, right? Well, RCOS is the exact same thing for a community. It provides the solid, underlying structure, and then the community can choose its own apps, its unique culture, its values, its projects, to run on top of that stable base.
So, how does this actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside RCOS to see how it's built. The real magic is in its layered and modular design. Okay, so take a look at this. This is basically the architectural map of RCOS. See how it's built in these concentric layers, kind of like Russian nesting dolls? It starts from that core identity and builds outwards. And this structure is so important because each layer depends on the one inside it. It creates stability, making sure that day-to-day stuff can't just undermine the community's core rules or its whole reason for being.
This table breaks down what each of those layers is for. It really just walks you through the fundamental questions every community has to answer. It starts with the absolute basics, like why are we even here, and who's in or out? And then it builds up through governance, money, and conflict, all the way to how the system itself can change over time. It's a complete playbook for living together.
If you remember just one rule from all of this, let it be this one. This is the central nervous system of the whole thing. By forcing all these critical pieces out into the open, it stops those hidden informal power structures that sink so many communities. The rule is simple. If it's not written down, it doesn't count.
And this is where the design gets really smart. RCOS separates the how from the what. The core system is stable, it's minimal. But then, communities can add these optional modules for specific things they care about, like a module for their permaculture practices, or a module for their educational philosophy. This means a ton of different kinds of communities can all be built on the same strong, resilient foundation.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work when things get messy? Well, RCS isn't just an ideal. It's a system designed to be tested against a series of stress tests. These are scenarios based on the very real, very human ways that communities tend to break.
Let's walk through a few of these stress tests, and we'll start with a total classic, a failure mode that I bet a lot of you have seen up close.
You know the scene, right? A super charismatic founder starts a project, and even though there's supposed to be a democratic process, their opinion just, well, it informally overrides every single decision. Their personality becomes this unwritten law.
So RCOS handles this structurally. Layer 2 says all authority has to be explicit. If the founder gets special powers, that has to be written down and agreed to by everyone.
And Layer 6 makes sure that decisions can't just be changed on a whim. There's a documented process for that too. Problem solved.
Oh man, here's another one that is so incredibly common. In so many groups, a few people, and let's be honest, it's often women, end up carrying all of the unacknowledged care work, the emotional labor, and it just leads to burnout and resentment.
The RCOS solution, again, is to make the invisible work visible. Layer 3 forces the community to actually define what counts as a contribution, and that includes care work. Then, Layer 5 treats everyone's time and attention as the finite resources they are, putting clear limits on things like meetings to stop burnout before it starts.
And for our last stress test, the good vibes only trap. This is that culture where everyone pretends everything's fine. Disagreements get swept under the rug to keep up this illusion of harmony, but all that pressure just builds and builds until some tiny issue explodes and threatens the whole community.
RCOS has a core rule for this in Layer 4. Conflict must be handled. It's not a moral failing, it's just a normal system condition that needs a clear process. So the system provides something called the Conflict Resolution Ladder, which is just a clear step-by-step playbook so everyone knows exactly what to do when things get tense. No more guessing. So we've looked at the problem, we've seen the system, and we've watched it hold up under pressure. The final question is, who is this actually for, and how can you use it?
Bottom line, this blueprint is really for anyone who is serious about building something that lasts. So whether you're starting a new community and you want to get that foundation right from day one, or maybe you're part of an existing group that's struggling and looking for a way to reset, RCOS gives you a practical set of tools to do that.
And this is really the big idea I want to leave you with. For so long, the conversation about community has been all about shared values and having good intentions. And that's great. But what if this source material is pointing to something even more fundamental? What if the real key to building these resilient, regenerative futures lies not just in our hearts, but in the clarity and the strength of the systems we decide to build together?